Welcome to the History MA and Advanced Certificate in Public History at the College of Staten Island information session. And if you have questions, it'd be great if you could hold them towards the end, and then we will be able to talk about it at however length you would like. Okay, so welcome history lovers. We found that most of the people who are drawn to our major and to the master's are motivated by a real love of history. And so that's something I really think we should embrace. History is fascinating and it is a joy to work with. And when you're a history buff, working with history is a lot of fun, and just you know, to have that as your day job is really a blessing. It's a wonderful thing. So what this information session is about is to kind of lay out a path so you can see how you can take that love of history and turn it into a happy and well-paid life. And that's very important to understand, that that's a completely reasonable and achievable kind of goal. And one of the things that we'll be talking about is to see how this advanced degree in history prepares you for a wide range of jobs. And it is important to understand that this is a wide range of jobs. I mean, oftentimes people kind of focus on teaching, and teaching, you know, social studies is really important, and I think it's a great thing. But it's not the only thing out there. There are many other jobs that you might not have even thought about, but your skills that you'll learn in the MA are very much in demand. And we'll also talk about the structure of the degree and certificate, so you have an understanding of what you would expect. Okay, so what we offer: evening classes. That's important. We just assume that everybody is properly working a regular job. Not all programs are like that, but you know, if that's your situation, that's not going to be a problem here. So it's evening. Internationally and nationally acclaimed faculty. I mean, we have really great faculty, people who have published, people who received awards, gone on Fulbrights, et cetera, et cetera. Very reasonable tuition, right? $5,545 a semester versus $37,000 for NYU, right? So NYU, I would not recommend it, especially going into public history. And then the other one, St. John's, which is less, but you know, 21,000 a semester is definitely going to add up. One of the things that's really great about the program too is that you can work very closely with faculty in writing a thesis or supervising an internship. I know that in many different you know, polls and in questionnaires of students, one of the things students often want is to be able to work with faculty, and not just to be kind of someone in a seat in a class, but someone who has like a relationship and can ask the faculty member questions. And we really do have that here. And there are the option for paid internships in public history throughout New York City. And that's this wonderful program called CUNY Cultural Corps. We can talk about that more. And that does provide for paid internships. And it's also important to know that the program will connect you to a larger network of educators and public historians in the city. You know, because the program has these connections, you'll learn about other people who have been through the program. You'll be connected to places. If you do an internship, you'll be able to be connected to that whole institution. Here is a picture of me with some of our students at the Museum of the City of New York, and they had hosted the History Day competition there. And so I and the other students were all judges, and it was a wonderful experience. And then we went around and we saw this great exhibition. And the students and I later on in the public history program had put together this proposal for photographs that was chosen for their New York Responds exhibit, which is up now. And in that exhibit, it's talking about the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And Staten Island is mainly represented through the materials that we collected in the public history program. And I'd be glad to talk about that more if people have any questions. So we have both an MA in history and the Advanced Certificate in Public History. And you can combine them or take either one separately. The History MA, it's 32 credits, 8 courses, and it's set up to provide content training in a range of geographical fields, and those are the fields, as well as in historical methods. And one of the things that's really great about that is it's really important to have a global perspective on things, not just to learn the content, but to be able to compare things, to be able to compare what's going on in one country with the other, and to be able to put them in a larger context. So even if you're a US historian, for example, it's really important to know what was going on in other countries at the same time. Okay, the other thing we have is the Advanced Certificate in Public History. That's 20 credits, 5 courses, and it's designed so it can be taken alongside the History MA, right? So you can have, you can be taking both the History MA and the Advanced Certificate at the same time, and the certificate more or less fits into the electives, right? And there's overlap with the classes that you would be taking for the History MA. All right, so what is public history? I think a lot of people, everybody knows what history is, but public history is one that often people don't know that much about. So according to the National Council on Public History, it is the many and diverse ways in which history is put to work in the world. In this sense, it is history that is applied to real world issues. So it could be an exhibit at a museum, interpreting a National Park Service site to visitors, having an online interface, connecting people with their local history, and many, many other ways of bringing history to the people. So this is really about the public. It's not primarily about academia. It's not primarily about publishing for other professors, but it's about reaching the largest, the largest kind of audience that you possibly can. And there's many places that do this. And so there are jobs. Okay, so the Advanced Certificate in Public History, this prepares you for jobs in museums, historical societies, parks, business, the federal government, and more. It also, by the way, works very well with preparation for a career as a social studies teacher. Because the DOE, it requires 12 credits of social studies content. And they are also thinking, the DOE is also thinking about integrating public history content into the curriculum. So this is actually something that's very desirable if your plan is to become a social studies teacher. And there really are jobs out there right now. I get the updates on the jobs for National Council on Public History, and they're always updating. Each week they update the jobs. And for social studies teachers, it's actually a pretty good moment to be out there looking for work as a social studies teacher, in terms of that they need to hire quite a few. So, okay, the skills you learn in this program are highly sought. So the top 10 skills that employers seek, and this is employers of all kinds, right? In any field: communication, teamwork, making decisions, planning, obtaining and processing information. All of the top 5 are very much integrated into our program. Analyzing quantitative data is less emphasized, but we still do it. Technical skills, especially for the public history, you will learn these technical skills using computer software. For example, when I teach archival studies, one of the things you'd learn is how to do the kind of computer markup you would need to do in order to create a finding aid. So even though you might not think, oh, it's not a computer driven thing, actually there are skills that you would learn if you decided to take the archival studies class, for example. Creating and editing written reports. I mean, that is a real strength of history, because a lot of history is about that, selling and influencing others. That's an interesting thing, because everything about historical writing is about influencing people to accept your argument. We usually don't call it selling, but really, in a way, it is. right? Because you're making an argument and you're providing evidence